Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome! We have the latest roadmap updates, so let us take a look. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you all so much for the support, it is truly appreciated. Now, before we get to any changes to the roadmap, they did give us an update on the 3.18 plans. They say they are eager to get persistent entity streaming into players' hands as quickly as possible, as the more time that we have with it, the more it can help to find potential issues. And they are still on track for the end of September to go to Evocati with a hope to release 3.18 live in the first half of November, just before the Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. So this means the 3.18 patch will also now include related content to the IAE, which will be seen in this fortnight's update, and they did reiterate how important the core tech of PES and server meshing is in relation to the vision of what Star Citizen is meant to be, which is why we have this unusual cadence to the release plan this year. And they do appreciate our support as we push through these major milestones. So nice to hear them say that they are aiming to release 3.18 to live in November, and this will give them 2 months' time of testing to iron out any issues with persistent entity streaming. And although their aim was to begin testing much earlier on, which is of course a big delay on what they were hoping for originally, but for me personally, I knew the rollout of these significant pieces of tech is going to be a bit all up in the air, and I'm just happy that they're trying to get it out and get it into our hands to get it working and then released and then improved. So I am expecting a lot of issues with the alpha, especially with these big changes like PES and then server meshing, but I will personally persevere through, and it is nice to finally get an estimated date on when they're aiming to release it to live. Of course, things certainly can change. Now, for the release viewer, and for 3.18 specifically, the Drake Corsair is coming in, and this is likely because it is so close to the IAE. I assume they were hoping to release this with the IAE regardless of when 3.18 came out. So very happy to see that my new multi-crew run-around ship is making its way into the game, and it is also the first Drake ship to receive the gold standard pass. Now, there were 2 3.18 removals, which are the new interdiction scenarios and the environmental space missions, stating that these deliverables require additional tasks that are currently being scoped out and scheduled, so they will reassess at a later date. A big shame there, as I was very interested in seeing what new gameplay this would bring, but so be it. I do think that these are also planned to be somewhat driven by the quantum simulation, so it might be requiring something more from Tony Zurovec and his team. And then finally, to the progress tracker, there were 3 removals. We have the Tumbrel Ranger, the RSI Apollo, and persistent hangars, with CIG saying that in regards to the vehicles, these were removed as the team working on this and the vehicles for Squadron 42 are taking higher priority until resources can be reallocated. So basically, the team who would be working on this are working on Squadron 42 related vehicles, which means they're not able to get to these. So a big shame there, as I know many people will be very disappointed that the Apollo specifically is getting taken off, but it will return eventually. Now, for the persistent hangars, they mentioned that additional focus from the USPU team is being placed on the freight elevator deliverable for hangars and cargo, and is a prerequisite for hangars to persist. So this has been removed while they work on these freight elevators. Now, personally, I would just love for any form of persistent accommodation, be that a home, a hangar. Hopefully with 3.18 a ship will suffice. So it is sad to see that persistent hangars are getting removed, but this actually clears up some questions that I and many others have had regarding 3.18 and the cargo refactor, as it does sound like for 3.18 they are working on freight elevators as a way to deliver physical cargo to us in our hangars, not our personal hangars, but the hangar that we have been allocated when we requested a ship, for us to load and set off and deliver. And of course, once these freight elevators are done, then it will clear up a huge chunk of work that was needed for persistent hangars. So when that returns to the progress tracker, this won't be a task left to do. And we are still yet to get the Inside Star Citizen episode looking at the cargo refactor. This Thursday, well today, is going to be looking at salvage, which means the likelihood is next week will be the cargo refactor. So it'll be great to see that episode, as I still have many questions about how it's going to work, but at least this ticks off one of them. So there you go, quite a mixed bag for the roadmap update. Some very interesting features and vehicles getting removed, which is a big shame. But at the same time, we saw the Corsair coming in, an estimated date for the live release of 3.18, and do take that with a pinch of salt, as it is definitely just a guesstimate and an idea of how players will receive their cargo to the hangar. So all in all, not overly disappointing for me personally, but here's to waiting to hear about an Evocati 318 PTU drop. It is getting very close now. We are halfway through September, and it was also mentioned in the Star Citizen Leaks Discord that Evocati testing will start relatively soon, with the devs just currently working on a couple of issues that would make the Evocati testing not very fruitful. But they also have some questions that they would want answered sooner rather than later, which basically means they would like to drop it to the Evocati as soon as possible to get certain aspects of likely persistent entity streaming tested to get the feedback or data that they need to help make the build more stable for future testing. So we will see about that, but we are not far away now from 318 hitting the PTU. And as mentioned before, I will cover all the Evocati patch notes as they happen to keep us all in the loop as to how the EVA testing is going. But with that said, if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. Also, come and hang out over at twitch.tv/supermacbrother. You are all more than welcome. We'll be discussing the roadmap, we'll be discussing 318, 4.0, and likely playing a bit of 317 too at the same time. Hit the thumbs up if you don't mind, it does the channel a big favour. Tick that notification bell if you want to be notified when my videos go live. Again, big thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.